we're going to talk about results-focused knowledge exchange. We have three great speakers here, and they're going to kind of like tag team off back and forth, so you'll get a very comprehensive view here. So our speakers include Shobha Kumar, from chair in charge of ID International Development at the World Bank. Daniel Shapiro, who many of you know from Organon, and Jana Vovides, also from Georgetown University. So let's see, Jana, you're going to go first? Or no, Shobhan, all right, okay. All right, so Shobhan, off to you, and then we'll have some time at the we're going to have some time at the end for Q&A and discussion. Is that your plan? Oh, we may not. Okay.
We have 20 minutes each.
Okay, so we'll cut it tight, but there are some resources here at the table you can pick up at the end of the presentation. Then maybe I'm sure you'll be available for them during the break, right? If somebody has questions. Okay, well that's good. That's the important part. Okay, take it away, please.
So I want to welcome you to our session today. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are going to talk today about the results-focused knowledge exchange methodology we use at the World Bank. I'm Shobha Kumar, a long-time knowledge and learning practitioner, and 25 years of which have been at the World Bank. And I'm joined today by a dear colleague and friend, Jana Vovides. She will introduce herself in a bit, and we've had the privilege of being able to work together for a very long time on knowledge exchange projects and the AoKE journey especially. Today we will be talking about three key questions. First, we start off with the broad question of why exchange knowledge. Then we are going to talk about the art of knowledge exchange methodology, which is captured in a resource manual, which talks about easy steps to be able to do knowledge exchange and a range of tools and methods you can use as you design it. And the last question we address is how did the World Bank mainstream an approach to knowledge exchange as a part of a larger change process that they had. So why exchange knowledge? I'm talking to the converted here, I think. You all are in the room because you value knowledge exchange, of course. But what we realized, and as the World Bank's role evolved in a global connector role, that peers like to learn from the experience of each other. They would, instead of reinventing the wheel, they would love to be able to know what their peers have successfully used or where they've had problems, and be able to learn from their experience. But for it to work, it has to be done right. And when done right, it can increase the capacity, conviction, and confidence of individuals at individual level to be able to implement reforms. But they have to meet with a broader enabling environment, and if they do meet a broader enabling environment, they're able to also affect change at the institutional and the systemic level. For example, a group of water specialists learned new techniques to build and maintain a safe water supply in Bangladesh. And with that enabling environment, they were able to also contribute to reduction in waterborne diseases. But if they did not have an enabling environment, the knowledge will just remain at the individual level. Now, another example is that farmers in Kenya learned from another country to be able to grow rice in a much more better way. It's called a system of rice intensification. And once the government realized, because there was an enabling environment, they realized that how it has done well. They mainstreamed it in other regions of Kenya, and also the universities adopted it, and also started doing courses on this methodology. There are some examples here about what participants have found useful in terms of knowledge exchange with other countries. In the early 2000s, the World Bank, with its evolving role as a global connector, started the South-South Knowledge Exchange Facility because it wanted to consolidate its role further to be able to connect practitioners to global knowledge. And the South-South Knowledge Exchange Facility was housed in the World Bank Institute, which was the capacity building arm of the World Bank. And a dedicated knowledge and learning group was set up where this facility was housed. And the role of that facility was to be able to mainstream a results-focused approach to knowledge exchange in banks' products and services. Make it a part of the services it offers to its clients, systematically make it a part of the services. The art of knowledge exchange methodology emerged as a result of our work with the teams who were submitting grant proposals for getting funding from the South facility. When we started getting the proposals, we realized that the quality of the proposals that were coming to us were not very good. And most of the time, the issue was that the donors, the practitioners, they felt that they could achieve much more from a $50,000 grant than they actually could. So they were writing lofty proposals, that they'll be able to achieve the world, and we're all optimistic. But what we wanted to do was to be able to have realistic expectations. That was our beginning of it, so that we could claim success. We had to show results, because if we claim lofty, outcomes and you don't achieve it, then there's nothing to claim. There's no success to claim. So we used to work with the teams, one-on-one, helping them design the knowledge exchanges. But we realized again that that was not scalable. We had to productize our expertise and be able to come out with some knowledge products so that we could really scale it up. So this emerged this resource manual emerged as a part of that effort. What we will do now next is to take you through the methodology. And as Yana takes you through the methodology, we would like you to keep in mind, as to how do the different parts of the methodology come together. Think about it, and also think as to why was this methodology able to achieve results. We're going to come back to it. We're going to come back to it towards the end of the presentation so that we can think through it together. So Yana, here it is to you.
So Shilpa started in the broad context to give you a sense of what was our enabling environment. And now I'm going to take you into a more micro approach of how we implemented the approach and the methodology. And at the end of the day, the bank at that time had developed a capacity development framework. And this was back in 2009. So the story starts from when the World Bank Institute was created in 2008. The facility was created in 2008. So what we decided is we had a good framework to begin with. So what we needed was really more of a model. So we created a roadmap that basically became the model we used, and a toolbox to give people an opportunity who are out in the field to have some tangible practices, instruments, and activities they could do to design their exchanges. So we had a strong foundation. We had clear objectives at the macro level within the CDRF. We wanted to make sure that at the knowledge exchange level, we had measurable objectives and outcomes so that we could have success shown as part of just the knowledge exchange. So we created the intermediate outcomes out of the CDRF model that actually became part of the proposals that were being submitted, and it was mainstreamed along those lines with the results stories coming after. So because the knowledge exchange is not, it's very much a peer-to-peer learning, informal, many times opportunity, we wanted to have a range of outcomes that could build off of each other. So new knowledge, sometimes we just start with learning something completely new, or enhancing our skills, or improving a consensus and moving something forward. These are the measures that we aimed to have as direct results from an exchange, not necessarily the development goal for that particular project. So So that was the big picture, the framework. This was our roadmap, a model. We created a 5-step approach methodology where you anchor an exchange within the broader context of a project or a program, a government effort. Then you define what that exchange is going to be in relation to that broader context and the enabling environment. Then you design the exchange. There's lots of ways one can design an exchange, from a conference down to this type of session. And then how do you implement and capture results as you implement so that the last step as you cross the bridge is really about measuring and sharing the results and reporting the results. So what we ended up doing is looking at instruments as short-term, medium-term, and long-term engagement instruments from the participant perspective. So a study tour, a conference, things like that are short-term. But a community of practice, there's a commitment from the participants that's long-term. And then we created a toolbox that is part of the guidebook here that has the instruments we created. I think there's about 14, 15 of them, and the activities. And for the activities, we broke them down into presentation activities, discussion, experiential learning activities, and analytical, because when we're talking with practitioners, development practitioners, we wanted to have some categorization beyond what they usually do, which is this lecture, right? Presentation. So the guidebook has enough detail for them to outline their timeline, to determine how they're going to run the activities, to actually seek peers and other designers, consultants, if they needed to, bring them in so that they can do a good job along the path. So as Shobha said, we had the first 2 books that really were the model and the toolbox. Then we worked with different sectors at the bank, with different practices, water and sanitation, urban development. We had the environment, global environment facility. And what we did is we took the guidebook, we kept the core methodology the same, but we customized the experiences, so the case studies we used, the stories that were told, so that a guidebook, this one, which is the generic one, which is all about the methodology and the toolbox, now became something that could communicate to the development practitioners around the world within those areas. So over 100 countries have adopted the knowledge exchange activities, and you can go to the repository at the bank and put those keywords in, and you'll see the details. Also, we've reached over 3,000 World Bank staff because part of the mainstreaming was workshops, train-the-trainer approach, shadowing so that we could scale it. We also did a lot of global workshops and trained other organizations to be able to also train their own staff. So it was an amazing experience for me, who was working as a consultant at the time, working with Shobha. But I worked with Shobha for, 15 years now? And to see the mainstreaming that can happen was just out of this world. And with that, I will actually pass it back on to Shobha to give us a little bit more about the World Bank and its institutionalization of the process.
Sorry about it. Sorry, I'm going to put it off. So following up on Jana's, so the last segment that we deal with is how did the World Bank ended up mainstreaming this results-focused approach in this larger change process. So I'm going to go through 5 or 6 reasons why it really worked. And as you listen to it, you can look at it as a checklist. Look at it as a checklist for any one of you who's looking to mainstream any approach in your organization or your institution. There could be some takeaways that really resonate with you and apply for you as you are going through the process. So number one, firstly what it was that we developed a very simple, intuitive, and results-focused methodology. Simplicity on the other side of complexity, that's the spirit we took, I think was one of the key things towards its success. We understood it clearly ourselves, so we could communicate it clearly, and it resonated both with experienced practitioners as well as new people who were very new to knowledge exchange. For the experienced practitioner, it was an affirmation and confirmation of what they had been doing. And the people who were new to knowledge exchange did not find it overwhelming, and the simplicity resonated with them too. So, and what do we mean by results focused? You know, we had, like Jana explained, we had a results framework on which we based it, and at several levels, all our materials kept reinforcing the results. So the knowledge, secondly, when they developed the knowledge products, we developed them in a range of knowledge products. We had workshops, we had the resource manual, of course, we had 4-hour workshops, 1-day workshops. Our application for the Southside facility was also informed by this results methodology. So upfront, there was quality assurance. They had to, consult the art of knowledge exchange to be able to fill out the application. So there was quality assurance upfront. And then it was, easier for them to do that. And then we had webinars, clinics. There's a whole range to be able to give easy access to people as to wherever they were. We had an e-learning course also around it. So the whole range of products and applications all together created an environment which led it to success. And then we also expanded ownership with purpose. Our purpose from the very beginning was not to hold on to the methodology and just to be in the World Bank Institute. We wanted to have broader ownership. So we worked with the initial group of champions. They were mostly the participants from workshops who really enjoyed the workshop and felt that it was really worthwhile for them to pursue. So they became our champions, and they were ready to become facilitators for this art of knowledge exchange to really be able to take it to their units and be facilitate it. So we were expanding ownership of it. And then we eased the process of customization and adaptation. You saw 6 different versions of the art of knowledge exchange. So the initial one, we had run 2 case studies through it, and they were from the urban sector and they're from the health sector, but we also realized it was a cross-sectoral methodology, which sometimes sector specialists feel they need to see their own examples in it. So we did the first customization for the water sector ourselves. We funded it, but then that became our proof that this can work. And after that, there were different sectors, they saw art of knowledge exchange for the water sector. Okay, we want it for the urban sector. We want it for the climate change sector. And the Global Environment Facility wanted it. They all had their different approaches to customization. So, and like Jana also mentioned, it was mostly the roadmap remained the same. They rolled their examples into it, their case stories into it, and we embellished the toolbox along with it, because the sectors wanted some specific tools that they had. So, and this also allowed us to keep the art of knowledge exchange alive and current. The first art of knowledge exchange was published in 2009, and the last one we published is in 2019. So over a period of 10 years, it allowed us to keep innovating and keep it current as we went through different iterations. So it was a win-win for us, and it was a win-win for the teams who were customizing it. And each team had their own way of customizing it. For example, the urban sector wanted to create knowledge citizens within the World Bank, and each staff member in there in their department, had to take the art of knowledge exchange. They had to become knowledge citizens. While the Global Environment Facility rolled it out in 12 workshops in the first year to all their clients and partners after they customized it. Then we also captured and shared result stories. And result stories, I wanted to just share with you that the task team leaders, whoever was leading the effort, did not have the time to write result stories. So we hired at the facility a result story writer ourselves who would interview them and write the result stories, because it was important for us to capture the results so we could create the enabling environment in the bank and keep showing results. And we also strongly encourage the teams to hire a communication person with the funding that we were providing, so that when they go out and do the exchange, they can have somebody capture that and work with a story writer. So that really became part of the enabling environment. And then we, of course, also benefited from a broad enabling environment. As we all know, you cannot, your efforts will only remain with you at a smaller level unless you have a broader enabling environment where you are able to, see success and be able to show success. So that was really helpful with the World Bank's mandate to be a knowledge bank. We had that enabling environment, which truly helped us scale it up. And then in the customization phase, I also wanted to share one more thing. We worked with the teams who were customizing it. So we became part of their teams, and we helped them customize it, and then we handed it to them for their ownership. So it was an easier process for them. So we were seconded to the team. They paid for our time, for people from our team, and then they took it over, and then we trained them, we delivered for them, and so it becomes a much easier process for them to take. And it was like good practice, right? Learning from the experience of your peers. They knew there was a tried and tested methodology which works, so the peers took it on and they customized it for themselves. Just wanted to come back for a minute to the methodology that Jana talked about. So what we have found from experience and rolling it out, that this combination of these three things, a strong results framework, a roadmap, which allows you to scale up, innovate, and build capacity, because unless you have a roadmap, you would not know why you succeeded. You succeeded, but you'll keep wondering, can I replicate the success? Because maybe it was by chance. Once you have a roadmap, so roadmap, I think, is a gift that keeps giving. A framework is a gift that keeps giving. It's a new innovation. And a toolbox with it. So that when they're going through it, they have a toolbox. A toolbox alone is a fragmented piece. You need to ground it. So combination of these three, I think, is a winning combination, which we have found through experience, and we hope that you'll be able to use it too. We have the roadmaps available on the Open Knowledge Repository and the guidebooks too. So what you will find in the family of publications are all the versions of the knowledge exchange, different sectoral versions, is translated into 9 languages. And most of it has been done by country offices, so you can even mainstream it in different regions where you would like to see it. And then we also delve deeper in one of the instruments of how to design study tours, because study tours were a very popular instrument. So we will delve deeper into one of the instruments, and we have a guidebook we'll share with you also. And then we also have a chapter in Communities of Practice at the World Bank. So these are the 6 guidebooks, and the main one is available in 9 different languages, the one we just showed you. And this is where we delve deeper. And Jana, you want to maybe show them as to where it can be available? Yeah? Okay, well. So if you go to the Open Knowledge Repository at the World Bank, you'll be able to, I don't know how is the connection here. They're not able to show.
Well, we have uploaded.
Yeah, we have the PDF uploaded on the website, of course, but you have to just go to Open Knowledge Repository at the World Bank, and if you can type it in, you'll get all the different versions of it. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so you'll be able to see it there. And all the manuals are available there. Unfortunately, the World Bank bookstore closed down, so we don't have it available anymore for as hard copies to be bought. But you can certainly download the electronic version. Last slide is thank you. And thank you for joining us today.